Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I am well. I
Good.
am glad you're with us.
Thank you
And
so much.
I'm going to try for the Khadejah, isn't it?
Yep, that's it.
Okay. I love you here, by the way. And this
Thank
is
you
a
very much.
real casual show. It
Okay.
is America's first women ag talk show. And where I am trying to take it is to the radio stations and hopefully one day actual TV.
Okay.
Trying to bring a different, innovative way of outreaching.
Hmm.
We have the usual workshops, the conferences, this, that, whatever. However, we want to make sure that we really make sure the underserved communities have access to resources. Just a
Right.
better way of being consistent every week, every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Central. I know we're 1 p.m. You're in on the East Coast time, correct?
Right.
Okay, good. Are you all okay with the storms and everything?
Yes. So fortunately, I'm in the Florida Panhandle region, which is not an area that got affected by Ian. But my friends that are like more down South Florida, Central Florida, that's where most of the impact was hit.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
my prayers have been with them because that was pretty devastating.
Yeah.
That was
Absolutely.
a lot. And even I noticed even with some of the business I do at USDA, some of the people are not able to like access different things. So my prayers are with them and our prayers here. And of course, if there's anything the organization can do as a whole, I've been trying to come up with something in my head to get some things down to support. If you know of someone specifically that you would like for us to reach out to, we'll be glad to do that.
Okay, I can actually give you Dr. Johnson's contact information. He would be a great resource for you. He is
Okay.
the Dean of Extension and is over Florida Cooperative Extension Services, so Beth UF and FAMU. So I'll give you his contact information and let him know that they'll be getting a message from you.
Awesome, awesome. So you're the University of Florida, not FAMU, correct?
Correct, yes, ma'am.
Okay. So that's okay. You said in the Panhandle. What major city? Because
So Tallahassee is the capital that is in the Panhandle, but it's also Pensacola, Escambia, all of that area. So on the northwestern part of the state.
awesome. Okay, love it.
Yeah, if you're a beachy person, the Panhandle is kind of where people like to go.
Yeah, I think I've been to Pensacola before many years ago. However, I'm going to get into the show because it is all about you.
Okay.
I want you to again. I tried to introduce you, but I want you to introduce yourself.
Okay.
Your official title. Everything about who you are, just from the farming industry itself, agriculture, and how you became to be an agent.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. So it's all yours, Ms. Scott. So just go ahead and introduce yourself. Just jump in and start talking about who you are, where you come from, what you're about.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Khadejah Scott. I'm a horticulture, agriculture, and natural resources extension agent with the University of Florida IFAS Extension in Wakulla County. So I focus on community programming all within those areas. I'm native to actually Memphis, Tennessee. So being in more of an urban area, I focused more predominantly on doing horticulture and agricultural education for small and disadvantaged communities prior to my arrival here at IFAS. Um, I really got started into agriculture kind of through community service. I'm looking at food system issues in urban areas and trying to improve community health and access to fresh foods. Over the course of my career, I've supported several different neighborhood gardens, whether through that's volunteering or providing technical assistance. My goal is to really just create this sort of urban farming community and collective action within agriculture. What really kind of puts me forward in agriculture is that I really do believe that being sustainable in ag is an investment in tomorrow. And I think that it can help deter poverty and food related insecurity, especially in a lot of our low income neighborhoods. So over the few years I've worked in like residential horticulture, crop production, urban agriculture, community engagement, and working on nonprofits. I do have a bachelor's degree in agriculture from Austin Peay State University, and I have a master's degree in plant and soil science from Alabama A&M University as well.
Right, girl, you are ag. So, do you come from an background?
Say that one more time.
Your family, do you come from an agriculture background?
Yes, I actually do, which is kind of an interesting story. So my family has been farming for the past decades. My grandfather actually owned a farm in Arkansas, and that site is still cultivated on and owned by my mother now. And so I'm looking forward to the day that one time that deed gets passed down to me and that becomes my farm.
Most definitely, most definitely. But with all your resources, you still are a great asset to your family, where you went even further and went to the business side because that's so important in the underserved communities.
Right, absolutely. So one of the great things about my experiences as Austin P is I had the opportunity to actually take a farm management and business planning course. So throughout that course, I actually focused on developing a family farm based on my own farm with my family. So hopefully, when
Awesome.
that deed gets passed down to me, I can then put that work into action and create a full-fledged agritourism facility.
You could do it now. You don't have to wait. You could do it, and then you could just enhance it when you
Right.
extend it. Talking
Right.
about generational wealth, that's definitely should. That's the title of this program right now: generational wealth
Ooh,
through
I love that.
agriculture. We wanted to get as you are you an extension agent? Are you an NRCS
No,
hired? No. Okay, you're
uh,
just starting.
so Right. So extension's a partnership between the federal, the state, and the county level to provide research-based education in several different areas. And so each extension agent will have a different specialty. Somebody, it's like for myself, I do horticulture, agriculture, natural resources. But we also have people that work in family and consumer sciences, youth development, family and nutrition planning, and areas of that.
Okay. So when you go out, because what we're trying to make sure that people and viewers understand that you're a resource to them, being an
Yes,
agent.
absolutely.
Can you explain those steps to them, how important it is to connect with you?
Yes, absolutely. So my goal as an extension agent is to provide support and outreach and technical assistance for both farmers as well as homeowners. So you don't already have to have your own property. So anybody that is interested in gardening, growing, insects, any of that nature should
Mhm.
really use their extension office as one of their best resources to get started. Each extension agent has a specialty where they've studied and they've worked and done several in-service trainings just specializing in those areas. The other great thing about an extension is it's very tailored towards your community. So for example, I work in Wakulla County, Florida. So majority of my programs and assistance is based in the needs of people that already live in Wakulla County.
Okay.
So I'm surveying and researching the community that I have to already provide programs based on their needs. It's very, very simple to reach out to your extension office. Every land grant institution has an extension office in each county for the most part, to my knowledge. So it's as simple as just trying to locate their office number and getting in contact with them and tell them that you want to speak with an ag agent, a horticulture agent, natural resources, or something of the sorts.
That's definitely. I know that some of our viewers they're not connected to agriculture, just trying to get started. And
Yeah,
understanding extension agencies, those are colleges. And as we know, and I understand, and you understand, that land grant universities are agriculture colleges that were founded in a certain year. But
right.
those are the actual places that people need to go or reach out to when they initially start or while they're in a project, if I'm understanding correctly, that
Yes,
every county in the United States has some type of extension agent or agencies, or agents, I should say, that are available to them. So I want to kind of like make sure they understand that
right,
anytime you start any type of agriculture program, that can be from livestock, like she said, you even mentioned insects. Because
right.
like, I know here in the community gardens, we have like an aphids problem that is going on right now. They love squash and different leaves, cabbage leaves, and things like that. So what we have done, we've reached out to our extension agent, which is Oklahoma State University, and literally you all will come out and actually assess and try to research and assist us to control or mitigate the actual problem, if you will.
Yes, absolutely. I couldn't have said it better than you. Absolutely. It is a partnership between federal, state, and county levels through these land grant institutions that provide technical assistance. And so, yes, during my day to day schedule at work, I do a lot of site visits where I'll just go to people's Sometimes it's farms, but sometimes it's homes as well. And sometimes it's schools and libraries. The clients that I work with are so diverse all the time, but I will go there and I will assist them and we will work through whatever challenges. If it's something that I cannot figure out by myself, then I will instruct one of my colleagues and we'll work together. But the gist is that your extension office is an absolutely wonderful resource for anybody interested that wants evidence-based and research-based information. So it's kind of more of an extension of what you would find out of the book.
Most definitely. Well, and that's again back to our chapters, the way part of our actual structure, they must partner with your offices because
Right.
you're the experts. And I try to drill that and drill that. We even have a checklist that they have to go through that you have to partner with an extension agency or agent because it is so important that you have an expert in while you're trying to produce something. Because if you're not getting the right soil,
Right.
contents, if you will, the proper irrigation, insect issues, just all of the things that help you produce food, you have to have your expertise.
Right.
So moving into the other side of it, what would you or how would you encourage younger people to get involved and kind of just follow your footsteps, if you will? I want to make sure that they understand that there are so many careers in agriculture. That's where I know in underserved communities, and specifically young people, it's not being communicated and delivered in an innovative and attractive manner that they want to be in agriculture. So
Right.
about that.
Yeah, right. That's absolutely true. And I kind of experienced that in some of my previous employments, just trying to get young people interested in agriculture. One thing that I have learned, though, is that it really kind of changes your perspective as well as their perspectives on food once they've grown it on their own. Once they actually get in there, they're planting the seeds, they're working the soil, they're putting their compost in, they're taking that self-discipline, intentionally watering their plants and putting that effort in. When they taste that fruit on the other side, it's a completely different perspective. And then their respect for agriculture, for food production has completely shifted as a result of that. But I think you're absolutely right when it comes to finding more innovative ways to get these young people involved. I really like looking at some of these urban agriculture institutions like that are doing like hydroponic towers as well as community gardens, all of these very niche kind of market agricultural subsidies that are more innovative, more engaging, more technology driven. So you can kind of appeal to some of these more younger people and get them more interested in agriculture.
So just as you said, the technology and like let's stop right there with the growing towers. I know that that is a new way of growing food, and I think that how do you feel about more of those type things getting into like the Title I schools? Do you think there should be more investments in those type things? Because I think the soil, I find it sometimes a little bit of a turnoff because most of them think they're cute and they're too good for getting dirty and all that. But I want them to also learn that. But how do you feel about that with the towers and things like that getting into?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So 2050 is this really big in agriculture that we always talk about because that's when experts are predicting that our population is going to double.
Yes.
And so with that double in population, how are we going to feed all of these new bodies? How is the land that is becoming less available for us, the soil that is being stripped away, how are we going to produce for all these more people with less land? And that's the kind of the problem that we're running into as we, head towards 2050.
Right.
So with that being said, to answer your question, with 2050 being such an integral year in agriculture, I support all forms of agriculture to an extent that will get us to that goal. Okay. So I appreciate and I like innovative structures like the grow towers that you'll see in schools because they provide an alternative means to production. And then on top of that, you also get to interact with kids, with children, with youth that more than likely wouldn't like that interaction with agriculture because of the soil, because of the dirt. So you're kind of getting two birds with one stone, right? We're creating new technologies and ways to produce food for our future, but we're also investing in that future at the same time by
Most definitely.
encouraging the youth to use those different forms of agriculture. Because at the end of the day, food production is fruit production, and that's what
That's
we eat,
right.
right? We
That's
all
it.
got to eat sometime. So I
I
think
love
as
it.
long as we are moving forward towards a place where we are feeding everybody, but we're still protecting our environment, I'm okay.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And protecting the environment, making sure that they understand how important it is, our environment. You know, what we put in it, that just like anything, what you put in is what you put out and what you get out.
Exactly.
And can you go ahead and talk a little bit about that? How would you go about educating our young people about taking care of our environment? Like, what are some of the things that, or the programs, if you will, that you would like to see more of in our communities or in underserved communities being taught, especially in school?
Yeah, of course. Thank you for asking that. So pre-COVID, I actually created a program that I wanted to run through and that I was pitching through to the school system prior to COVID happening. And so that looked like this interactive workshop, um, almost a class that you would go to once a week, every single day for youth, where they would be hands-on involved in agriculture. The whole purpose of that would be, again, trying to change that perspective of food once it's grown. And so the goal of that program would be to show children that farming is a full circle activity. You are feeding what is going to feed you. You
Right?
enrich the soil, you put compost, those microorganisms, those nutrients in, and then in return, you're fruitful and you're bountiful and you get to live a healthy life. So the goal was kind of trying to create this full circle farm to fork, field to fork kind of thing where kids not only got to be involved in agriculture, but they also got to cook their own food that they grew. They got to grow their own food. And all those things combined together made a much more immersive experience, if you will. And I think that really changed the perspective. Unfortunately, though, COVID did happen. So I didn't get to do it in the schools because of the school's restrictions, but I get to do that program with adults.
Okay.
And it worked. It absolutely worked, and it changed and it helped cultivate, this urban farming community in Memphis where I lived at that point in time. And
Mm.
so I would love to see immersive and innovative programs such as that be reestablished in school systems. Just like you take, environmental education, English, you also take environmental science, food production, companion planting, things of that nature. So I just love to see those more immersive opportunities be provided for youth, because I think that constant interaction, working with all the senses is going to be what really retains them in their interest.
Most definitely. It is absolutely urgent that this gets into our schools and into our school systems. Working with young people, I find it for some reason it's so hard for those programs to be implemented or invested in underserved communities. I see it, and I'm getting ready to go into like 4-H and FFA. I think they are the best youth
Yep.
programs on earth. Okay,
Yes.
unfortunately, they are not in our underserved communities the way they should be.
Mm.
And that brings to what our organization is doing on a national and congressional level is trying to become a pilot program to 4-H for at-risk youth.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, there has never been a Black congressionally chartered organization, meaning that there's never been a minority organization that receives congressional funding every year, like 4-H, FFA, Boys and Girls Scouts, United Way. So our organization has taken it upon ourselves as women farmers, agriculturalists, to try to make sure that that comes to fruition in this Congress. I think this Congress, the next Congress, it could change in November. However, still working with the congressional members for almost 10 years now, we're finally getting to hear, or getting an ear, I should say, or an audience that's really paying attention to what we've been trying to do. Because, as you said, that earlier, I heard you very clear say that is the key to a lot of poverty issues. Is agriculture, is getting that true sustainable life skill of agriculture into underserved communities, which gives them a baseline to be productive citizens as far as growing food for themselves and others. Just being able to develop an economic development type of funding stream inside of communities. It also serves as a recruiting agent. These are things that we're saying that our initiative does, a recruiting agent to colleges. We have to groom our children at an early age because high school is too late.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Right. Most children are not taught, and they should be, and that's something we're trying to get into the schools in middle school. You should be getting those children groomed where they understand you have to make good grades and attend school the 9th grade through the 12th grade in order to receive a scholarship. Our children are not being groomed with that. And we think that we know being a pilot program through 4-H and FFA, we could further assist with those skills so they'll understand they could go show their livestock, grow the strongest or the biggest crop of some type of vegetable to show it theirs. Those opportunities are just not there. Fourth, being able to develop new farmers.
Mm-hmm.
That's what initiatives like this and our programs will do. As you know, minority farmers or Black farmers are down to less than 1%. Which is scary. That's real scary to me. Until we really are intentional with what we're doing, we could develop more farmers. We're women. We have children. We have farmers. So now we're women with degrees that we're actually grooming them to become producers. And lastly, and most importantly to me, agriculture saves lives. It could actually save so many children, especially minority men that I see more so, as well as women now, young women, that are incarcerated or worse, killed as a result of having this idle time, no vision on a true sustainability other than a hustle in the wrong area of life.
Right.
So I am like hearing you loud and clear, and I'm telling you, my brain is like, gosh, she'll be a good advocate as far as a voice for the younger people. Teaching them the importance of the career path that you went in. So
right. No, I think you are 100% correct, and I'm with you there all the way. I cannot express enough how much when I say that agriculture is the means to a way, it's an end. I believe agriculture can be used as an outlet. It is an investment into tomorrow. It remains central to our lives and the livelihoods of America, and it's required for us to be productive in this world. We have got to further develop these programs and create this farming community. The research has already shown that local food systems, we're promoting healthful living, we're increasing availability of fresh foods, especially in those underserved areas. We're reducing income variability. The research already proves the point why it's necessary for us to be here, especially when it comes to helping push forward our youth. The research is there. So we just have to, we've got to drive job growth and get these farmers on the land.
Exactly. Do you think that generational issues play a part? When I say that you have, I know that when I was coming through in this industry, as far as becoming a leader, trying to establish, the organization in a way, I had more pushback from the older generation than myself. Almost like territorial, knowing they can't get out there and grow all this stuff, do all this. My thing is like, invest in the youth so they can help grow this food. They have the energy, they know technology. So how do you feel about that as far as generational barriers?
Oh, absolutely. Generational barriers do exist. I'm one of those people that say you need fresh eyes, you need fresh face, you need fresh everything. There is a very obvious and very impactful it's been very impactful, and we've received a lot of value in the information and the wisdom that our elders and our predecessors have provided us. That is great. It should be acknowledged and it should be cherished. But with that sentiment, it should also be acknowledged that the world is continuing to change. And so if the mindset and the ideologies are still in the 1960s, as we move forward into 2022, how can you expect your farm, your agricultural subsidy to deal with all the problems that are existing in 2022 versus 1960? And so, yes, our predecessors have so much great information, and we should definitely be learning from them but it also needs to be noted that fresh eyes, fresh, energy, fresh understanding is also needed. You can't have more than one than the other. You got to have this
You have
nice
to
blend
win,
in the
yes.
middle of diversity, ideas, young, old, male, female, black, white, the whole works. It's got to
Most
be
definitely, most
a
definitely,
blended. It has to be blended in order to get an effective result.
most definitely. You answered it perfectly. So talk to me about the USDA. I mean, I know that that is your counterpart as well as ours, a partnership that, we actually could not operate without funding, if you will. I know that universities and nonprofits like us, we are the actual leaders of the community outreach and technical services. Talk to me a little bit about which agency you work with the most.
I work most predominantly with the USDA within NRCS, that kind of area, with our soil and water conservation district. So Wakulla County is on several different sources of water, and so we often work close on close about talking about different conservation practices that can be added to preserve those lakes and areas.
Okay. And then what about how do you have good participation when you introduce to FSA, Farm Service Agency? That's the first stop. I don't know, how do you feel that connection between the agency and your.
Well, I've actually had really good and really positive results. So like we mentioned earlier, there's several different sectors of agriculture. So one person doesn't know everything. And so I've really been able to rely on the Farm Service Agency a lot as a counterpart for helping me when I'm working with clients, especially when it comes to like the intricacies of applications and loans and grants and stuff like that. I'm more of a biological sciences type of person, agronomy type of person, versus the grants and applications. So it's really great to actually have that as a resource available to me and just share that information. It's always been a pleasurable experience. So I'm really thankful that I have people that I can rely on when I don't necessarily know the answer.
So can we like refer people, or can people come to you to refer to USDA, Farm Service Agencies and things like that?
Yes, that happens all the time, actually, and then vice versa. So I've had people that are coming to me about things, and then I refer them to the USDA and back and forth. So absolutely, it's an open partnership. The goal, regardless, at the end of the day, is to improve the community with evidence-based research. And sometimes IFAS Extension has the evidence, and sometimes USDA has the evidence. Sometimes FSA, and we just work together. As long as people are getting fed, that's really my only goal.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, I am going to start wrapping up, but I want you to give words of encouragement to anyone, how they can get in contact with you. What are
Yeah,
they?
absolutely.
Yes.
So I will start off with my contact information. I can be reached via email at khadejahscott@ufl.edu. You should be able to see my name spelling of it below me, or you can reach me at my office phone. My number is 850-926-3931. And again, that's 850-926-3931. But thank you so much for having me on here, Dr. Steele. It's been a wonderful time just chatting with you. I really do believe that there is so much future and so much power in agriculture. Like I told you, the research is already there, so we know how it can change and transform a landscape. And it is my goal to create and cultivate this farming community that supports a local food system so consumers can make better informed decisions about their food. I've absolutely loved what I do the whole way there. And I have experienced a lot of adversities along the way to get in this position. So the biggest advice I have for everybody, especially my young people, is just no matter what, and no matter what, agriculture, farming is for every single person, no matter what your age is, your range of abilities, your gender, none of that actually matters. The future of agriculture is going to depend on farmers of all different types of backgrounds. And so obstacles may come whether or not you're one of those type of people, but just still know that it's this new generation, it's these young people, these young ambitious individuals that are carrying on this legacy and this tradition of agriculture. and just bringing new ideas for the table. So just no matter what, my daddy always told me, you belong, so you belong.
That is awesome and absolutely beautiful. You have been a light, an actual, true light to the agriculture industry, especially your young, beautiful demeanor, your whole vision. I mean, because it's hard for our children to see themselves in agriculture. And I was so impressed when I saw your picture and kind of read a little bit about you. And I'm like, okay, she's really doing it. So this is something that we will be reaching out. Hopefully, we will have our national symposium in Florida. I don't know now, since with the hurricane and things like that has happened, we were scheduled to do our symposium in Tampa in February.
Okay.
And I would love for you to be a speaker, to even bring highlights about what you do to encourage young people to get involved and to maintain consistency, their grades, their attendance. Um, Go to college in some field of agriculture, and you're for sure to be a productive citizen as well as be able to make that ag in bag.
Hey, I heard that.
That's what I always tell. It's a great day in ag to make that bag always.
I heard
And
that.
that's what I know that a lot of people that drive them, but also you would be a true asset on this earth. So again, I thank you, Ms. Scott. Thank you so much
Thank you
for
very
taking
much.
out your day. Have a great day. Thank
Thank you.
you.
You do the same.